Go.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to It's Talk Time Internet Podcast. Zeke can call it Internet Radio all he wants, but we're no longer Internet Radio. We're Internet Podcast on Facebook Live. We're live at my favorite place, Big Nick's Pizza. I think you all know why. We have a very important show today. We're talking about something that's really going to affect the harbor area and the local economy. We're talking about automation coming to the LA waterfront. Joining us today is ILWU Local 13 Vice President Gary Herrera. Gary, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So first, for those who don't know, let's just put it out there. What is automation and how does this work on the waterfront?
What automation is in today's world is robotics. What it is, it's a machine that will replace a human worker and will displace a worker in the workplace.
So the terminal being discussed right now for automation is APM terminals, which a lot of people know as Maersk, Pier 400.
Yes, correct.
How many employees currently work at that terminal?
On a full ship with 3 or 4 ships in there, anywhere between 700 to 1,500 individuals working.
So assuming automation comes to that terminal, there would be 1,500 less jobs on the docks.
Yes, there would.
Okay. So we were talking about it and how these dollars lost and these jobs lost would affect the local communities of San Pedro, Wilmington especially. What are your thoughts on something like that?
Well, I think there's just a bigger impact, right? This one terminal, which is the largest terminal in the port of LA, that would lose up to 1,500 jobs. It's a simple trickle effect. This would happen to the other terminals. What they've done is they've created a machine, and this machine is no longer have to have any infrastructure change. It's a robotic machine run by Wi-Fi and GPS. If every terminal does that, up to 15,000 jobs could be lost. And in our local economy, people like yourself, Big Nick's, what you see on every given day when we're out working, and we patronize your business. The community, from the longshore, from the casual, everybody comes to your business, to all the business in San Pedro. So that's definitely have a direct impact on our local economy.
Okay. So when you say that many jobs, what would be the time frame of a full automation all the way around?
So what APM2, as we know as Maersk, wants to do their full automation is in 2 years. They want to automate their whole terminal. That would eliminate 1,500 jobs. If in fact it were to go across the board to all the other terminals, we can look at a 10-year window where long-term will reduce from a total of 15,000, including the casuals and the registered members, to possibly down to maybe anywhere between 500 to 2,000 workers.
Wow, that's a big change in a not so long period of time.
Absolutely.
I want to bring our host Zeke in. Thanks, Zeke. Sorry, I know
Gary, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
I'm glad that you guys were able to come a little late. Sorry about that. I'm normally here very early, but today I was running a little late. But I'm glad that John, with his vast experience in this program, they've been able to start the shows many times. But I'm not sure what questions already took place, but let me just give it a different perspective. I know you guys were talking about the loss of jobs and what have you here in the city. Let me ask you this. Being that the automation for terminals in ports is already taken place for almost 15 years, and most of the big ports are already doing this. As a matter of fact, TraPac is already fully automated. How are you going to prepare your union members to eventually phase out into a different part of the same port? Because it seems to me, if some people were saying, well, you should ask them questions that about the local economy and what have you, and I'm glad that you guys were talking about that, but the inevitable is going to come eventually. You know that and I know that. Because technology can't be stopped. We see it every day in our phones, in our system, and the way they collect money together. The technology does not stop. It's going to happen. It's a matter of how soon. But I heard you say something about a 10-year span, which means that gives people enough time to adjust and educate our kids to get into this new technology that's going to happen. And I feel for this town because I love this town, and what's made this town big is longshoremen. the union jobs. That's what's always kept this city going. But not long ago, we had Altacian on the show, and they actually also spoke about how the jobs, because of technology, they're picking up a lot of the slack. Your kids, my kids, their kids will probably be able to work at Altacian because it'll be first-class technology. So, that being said, what do you think would work better right now for the current time, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when it'll probably be automatically automated?
Before you answer that, I think I have a side question that might address part of your question. Can automation happen without such a big loss in jobs on the waterfront?
No.
Or does it go hand in hand?
It goes hand in hand.
Okay.
So, to answer a couple of your questions, and thank you once again for having me. Yes, technology is right around the corner, and yes, you know what? We need to embrace technology. Our phones, for example, as we're here today, are giving us that technology, but never has technology been the responsibility to displace workers. It was to enhance people's lives. It was to make our lives better. It was to make it easier to accomplish things, not to get rid of jobs. And I think that that's where we're at the road right now, or the fork in the road, is where we're separating the two between technology and enhancing someone's life, and then technology where it's displacing someone's life. And I think that that's where we're at today. So part of what we do as a union is, of course, when something like this comes around, we go and we negotiate, and we do, hey, we want the IT work, and you're going to train us how to do that. And you know what? We want the mechanical work, and you're going to train us how to do that. But here's the real statistic. As we lose 1,500 jobs, we're going to gain 50 jobs. We're not going to gain another 1,000 jobs, because what happens is with this IT work that we've already have gone through with the Middle Harbor project in Long Beach, they promise us work. But when some of that IT work is being from Colorado or Arizona, we can't be there to monitor it. So we know through the enhancement of technology that we just talked about, these things can be done from 2 to 5 states, or even another country. So as we fight for jobs and the jobs aren't here, there's not much work to gain. So the gain is very minimal in the respect of our jobs. Our jobs as longshoremen is to move cargo, to drive the machines. Now, I know you're probably gonna have some more questions, but I would like to touch up on some of the fact of why some people automate. People automate for, number one, to reduce the cost of labor. But one of the reasons why California likes to automate is to make sure that we're in compliance with the green air and clean air. To me, from the opposite side, that we are not here to hide under the curtain. We're not here to say we're going to increase the productivity of what you guys have done. This is simply to cut labor costs. So when that's being told to us, we know that it is going to have a direct impact on our neighboring communities. And that's what I'm really about. Yes, I do care about the longshore jobs. I want to keep our jobs 100%. But I have to live here when if I'm not a longshoreman, if you're not a longshoreman, and this gentleman who thrives his business on us patronizing him, we can't do that. So yes, our younger generation will have the opportunity, but how do we do that when we don't have a job and we don't have the necessary means to send our kids to school, when we don't have a home anymore and our homes are foreclosed? What do we do then when this town becomes like Detroit? Those are the real questions I want answered.
That's correct. And let me just say this, just for the audience out there, that the nature of my questions to Gary are just to keep the integrity of the program, so that we don't think that we're not thinking ahead here. I have to make sure that I give you as much opposition as possible, because that's going to bring out the best in you, just like it just did right now. I like your answers. Now, so what is the union suggesting to some of these entities that want to automate, to do, to stay in the Stone Ages, as they would say, or to continue to automate at a slower pace, perhaps? What would be your answer to that?
So a couple of things to that, right, is number one, if we're talking about Stone Ages, as you say, over the past 3 years, the ILWU has broke every single record on the waterfront as far as moving containers. and not only just locally, but on the Western Hemisphere. Some of the projections we have are based on human operators and what we do as a local and members of the ILWU. But what we would ask is that they actually do a feasible impact, a research, either by a third party or themselves, and we get together and collectively do this to see the impact of what automation brings to the table. Of course, we understand this, but there's nothing wrong with sitting at the table and saying, you know what, by the way, we're only going to do 10% because we understand we're a business and we got to be competitive. But they've been competitive by showing, and the numbers of us breaking records, they're very competitive. We break records, and that's us doing that. We've broken more records than Long Beach and their automated terminal. We've broken more records than TradePack, which is an automated terminal. We do that. So we're asking that either they do some feasible impact on the responsibility to the community, because with change from 2002 till now, where automation was introduced into our contract, things have changed rapidly. So automation in 2002 is a whole lot different term than automation in 2019. The machines are different, the technology is different, and I think that the impact report would definitely show that it will phase out workers, where maybe in the beginning it was simply about enhancing technology. Now we're at a point where we're getting rid of workers. And I think that we as a community, we as a society, have got to stop eliminating one another for the big dollar.
No, and I agree with it. I completely agree with that. Now, from a company's perspective, they look at the revenue, what it leaves them. They want to be competitive with the rest of the world. Now, but there are some downfalls with automation. And some of it is, I was reading a little bit on that, is that some of these electronic carriers do bump into each other, therefore creating disaster with the cargoes that they are actually loading onto trains and trucks and what have you. So there is a downfall to that as well. And I think that that's probably why you're looking at maybe a 10% reduction. See what happens. Don't just come out here and eliminate jobs in a 1, 2, 3. What are they telling you in terms of the span, the scope of it? Is it going to be 5 years from now when they'll be totally automated, 100%? Or what's the percentage, their projected percentage in terms of time?
So when we first met with APM, their projected time was possibly 2 to 3 years, and as we talked, they said, well, realistic would be 5. So we said, okay, 5 years. When we met with them the second time, they said 3 years. And why that's interesting is our contract is up in 3 years. So if they can solidify their terminal and be done in 3 years, then there's no more negotiating. There's no more at the table talking about what we can and can't do, because they've already accomplished what their goal. So their goal right now, and what they told us, is 3 years.
So going back to, like you said, a terminal like TradePack that's already automated. How is automation going there? Because I hear longshoremen come in here for lunch and talk about issues that they are running into at TradePack.
So as we know it, the numbers are so much different than what we do. I mean, they're drastic. Just to give you some simple terms, right? If we do 30,000 moves in a month, just to be real simple, and there's probably different terms, but if we do 30,000 TEU moves, container moves, they're doing 7,000. And they're doing it because they're slow. They don't have, we're not, you get more from a human because the expectancy for us is we can be competitive and we can go. A robot doesn't know any different. He doesn't know to up the game and to go to the next level. How does a robot know how to be competitive? We do. We move cargo. So in the terms of TradePack, it's nowhere compared to what we do. And now, mind you, TradePack's part of the city of LA and the port of LA. Maersk broke so many records because it was human operated. We did that. The Ports of America, Everport, we break records all the time. So these are the things that we have done, and we've shown it. What this is attacking on labor, period.
So that's pretty much your side of it, is an attack on labor. So we in this community, obviously, labor is what we've grown with, and places like here, Big Nick's Pizza, they depend a lot on longshoremen. They depend on the community for that matter. But the community is longshoremen. Families come here. I love this place. My daughter and I come here all the time, and this place is always full of families, but families that work. And if you eliminate the work, then a lot of these families will not be able to afford to come out, and businesses will close. That happened in Detroit.
Right.
When the automation started moving out, assembly lines for cars started moving out, businesses were closing, and Detroit became a ghost town. Right. Such a ghost town that now people from foreigners, Koreans and what have you, are taking possession of land free, just so that they can pay taxes on that property, taxes that the government is not receiving. And of course some people say, well, let's just move out there and own property too, well, you still got to pay taxes and you have nothing. So, but let's get back to this.
The irony of that is the timing of it. Well, and we're in a time in San Pedro especially where we're starting to see some downtown development. We're starting to see waterfront development with Ports of Call and stuff we've been waiting for 30 years. And now these projects are slowly taking off, and we're seeing a revitalization a little bit of downtown San Pedro. You know, there's always been a lot of empty storefronts for years. Well, now we have more people coming to town. Then this comes into play simultaneously. It seems like even though we knew this was on the horizon, this kind of just jumped in really quick.
It jumped in really quick, and you know, this came, so a little history on this is they came to us about a year ago, and they said, hey, we're thinking about automating. We said, okay, well, what's your plan? What's your machine? We don't know. Do you know how many, the acres you're going to use? We don't know. It was simply like, hey, we're thinking about it. We get a call on a Wednesday evening that we have a meeting on a Thursday morning, and they tell us, we've already ordered 36 machines, we're automating in 3 months this side, and here it goes.
Damn. In 3 months, how many jobs will be lost in 3 months if they do go forward with the project?
In 3 months, it would all depend. If they're running a full game, they can run anywhere from 6 to 8 cranes, I think, on one side where they would automate. And that could be anywhere between, on a day side and a night side combined, anywhere between 250 to 500 jobs.
So that's just immediate.
That's immediate.
In 3 months' time, you're talking about 200 to 300 jobs lost.
Right.
So,
And are these...
go ahead.
Are these the higher end paying jobs or the casual?
These are all jobs, and and to be honest with you, casuals, they've been casuals now for 15 years, are at top pay because they've been down there working their butts off, right, sacrificing their lives, and now they're the ones who pick up a lot of these jobs because there's so much work right now, and we keep covering the work, and we're breaking records. So it's just not registered. It's everyone. I consider all of them longshoremen. So it's from the bottom of the basic longshoreman to the crane operator to the trans operator to the top handler driver to the UTR driver to the hold man. It's to every single job and category, and once again, it's to every form of longshoreman, from casual to the crane operator to the vice president and the president. It affects all of us.
George, you had a comment?
No, that was basically, he answered it.
Okay. So I know you're on a time crunch because you're running all over. But well, my question is next is what would your message be to the small business community, to San Pedro, to Wilmington, to Harbor City, businesses that we depend on you guys. I mean, every day at noon and every night at 10 p.m. we know you're coming in to eat, and you guys fill us up every night, and we're delivering down to the docks, and we take care of each other, so to speak. And I mean, I see longshoremen down on 6th Street buying shoes, at the Brew Co., at the Green Onion. What's your message to the small business community, and what can the small business community do, if anything, to stand with you guys?
So that's a great question, and thank you for asking that, because I'm a true believer in this. We have a motto and a slogan that we say, an injury to one is an injury to all. If it was not any more meaningful and powerful than it is right now, if that injury to one, not just us, but an injury to all, to the small business, what we need for you guys to do is to go out to your councilmen, to your legislators, to your representatives, and say, look, I have a business, and I am providing taxes to our community. I'm providing taxes to the state of California and to my surrounding area, to the people that live here, and say that we are backing the workers, and not just the registered members, but the casuals, everyone that puts into this, and say that we are here for them and we have their backing because they have our backing when they patronize our business. I needed to be passionate. I needed to come from your heart, because at the end of the day, when you guys are here, we develop relationships with you. You become our family. We come in here, we bring our family. You see our kids grow up. Some people come here on a Sunday basis and we're like, we're gonna have pizza. We're gonna have the best pizza in town, right? And then we go, we have a drink with our friends down at the street. This is what we do, and I think especially for the harbor area, there's nothing like it. This is nothing like the Inland Empire. We thrive on community. We have hats that say San Pedro. We have shirts that say San Pedro. We have battles between Wilmington and San Pedro because there's such a rivalry there. Narbonne, Harbor City, Torrance. We thrive on these communities, so I'm asking you to go out and protect our community, protect your investment, and the people that love you, the people that patronize you, the people that work hard for you, the people that go out every day and put a roof overhead. It's a fundamental right for a person to have a job. It's a human fundamental right for a person to provide for his family and put his kids through school and be able to come and give their kids and their family a good life. And that's the message I want.
Yeah, and I've got to collaborate a little bit with you as well. Everybody from real estate agents to Target to
even medical,
Chevron, Shell, Arco, every entity that does business in this community should stand behind the workers. I stand behind them. Like I said, the nature of my question is to maintain a certain amount of integrity in the show, but I stand with the union members. I understand where this is coming from. Personally, I will write letters to a congressman and assembly members because I happen to know a lot of them. 3 months, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable in 3 years. It's not acceptable in 5 years. It's not even acceptable in 10 years. I do, however, say that knowing that eventually it will have to happen, nothing stays the same. Nothing stays the same. We as employees, workers, have to educate our kids that they can no longer think that they will grow up and work as longshoremen. I'd rather my child go into a different kind of business, and I'm sure you would too, because those jobs will not exist 15, 20 years from now. They will dwindle away. And more entities like Altaseed, like SpaceX will come in and take over a lot of the labor that we had previously as longshoremen. The inevitable is going to happen. It's just sad that it is going to happen. I just don't see accepting the fact that it will happen in 3 months to lose 250 jobs. That is not acceptable, even in 5 years. 10 years gives us a lot of window of opportunity to change things and to continue to prove that as human beings we can do more than robots. So I applaud you for coming here today. As I said to you yesterday, we needed someone like you to be able to project that passion to the audience out there. Hopefully you'll be able to share this show in your own page. I shared it with the local 13 as well. And I need people to get behind it.
Do you share, does that view make sense? Do you think that there could be a total elimination in a longer period of time?
So I'll give you what I believe in not being naive. As the world as we see it today, I absolutely see what you're saying. As some of the people that I've looked up to in my lifetime, Harry Bridges, Martin Luther King, Cesar Chavez, and my good friend Dave Arian, these are individuals that never stopped fighting for what was right. So yes, as I do see it, as you see it, and I think that what keeps me going to keep this fight, knowing that that's the very, like that could be the truth. But for me, I'm hoping that one day we wake up the human mind and we stop getting rid of each other at the ultimate goal of being rich for one or a small percentage of people. I think we've come a long way in a short amount of time, too fast. And once again, I will continue to fight to have these jobs and automate at a minimum so that there are some people that will be able to enjoy this job in 20 to 30 years. And maybe there's not everyone that can go to school school, and I think that that's been one of the beautiful things about being a longshoreman is that you didn't need to go to school, you couldn't afford to go to school, and maybe you got a second opportunity in life, and you got to provide for your family better than most people ever could. And I want to keep that dream alive as long as I can. Hopefully it's longer than 10 years, hopefully it's longer than 20 years, but as long as I'm on this earth, in this town that I so love with all my heart, I will give everything I got to make sure that we're here as long as we can.
So now the next step in this process is there's a meeting tomorrow night of the harbor commissioners. And you mentioned Dave Arian, who was a harbor commissioner, and his seat is still vacant. So this is on the agenda tomorrow, and there's supposed to be a vote that takes place.
So we're actually hoping that they would vote on the agenda, on the item that's on the agenda, and hope to delay it, because one of the things we're going to ask is say, let's be fair, have the vote when you have a full board. If you don't have a full board, why would you be in such a rush to put something on the agenda? Let's just be fair about it, and we have no problem. But let's do this in a fair manner. Let's do it in an equal manner where you got a full board. Right now, with all due respect, and I don't like even to bring it up, but you had an individual, a man, who was a retired longshoreman, who was on the Harbor Commission, who fought these things, and then also understood where some things are, and then agreed to them and made the best of them. He was very well, educated on what we did, but that seat is empty. And all I asked him to do was hold off until they put somebody in that seat so that they can have a fair review of this permit. That's all we want.
And the board is normally a 5-seat panel, and there's 4
Yes.
full and 1 empty seat.
Yes.
Now that's an inequity, because you have to have 5, otherwise you could end up with a stall vote, right? 2-2. That's why they have 5, so that there's always going to be a lead, a majority, and not 2-2. Absolutely. But I hear what you're saying in terms of fighting for people, and I think that as the audience out there listens to us and listens to Gary, that you're right. We need to stop replacing humans, because what's going to happen when everything is automated? What are we going to do? Your husband's not going to work, your brother's not going to work, your mom's not going to work. The only job they're going to have is being in the military, fighting in another country. They're not going to be here anyway. So I hear what you're saying, brother. We have to continue to fight to keep humans working. I catch that, I hear that, and I agree with that.
Thank you for that.
So, we're about to wrap this up. Gary, I know you got to get going. You probably have to get to work.
I got to go to the hall. Yeah.
Any final thoughts just that you want to say to anybody listening or that will watch the podcast?
Because you will get a lot of people watching.
Well, my final thoughts is this, and I think I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Technology is here to enhance people's life, not to replace them. I believe that it's a human fundamental right to have a job, to provide for your family, to put a roof over their head, to put food on the table, to send them off to school, to get an education, to do all the wonderful things in this life as a middle-class worker and as a hard worker. So anybody out there, if you believe in this cause and you want to join the fight, we don't care where you're from. We don't care your longshoreman, business owner. If you're just somebody out there that believes in this cause and believes in humans, please come join us tomorrow night at Banning's Landing, 6 p.m. And let's join this rally and start this fight. It's far from over, it's the beginning, but we're here to the end. And I want to say thank you to the audience. Zeke, thank you for having me. John, thank you.
Always a pleasure, Gary.
All right,
I
buddy.
really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us. Maybe we'll see you for lunch tonight.
Absolutely.
One of these days soon. But pass it to Zeke, and we'll see you soon.
I want to apologize, number one, for not being here on time. I had some delays, but again, thank you guys for being here. And this is not something that's going to be a one-time show. Being that this is going to be an ongoing negotiation, we're going to probably bring you back to give us some updates on what's going on, how many people we're looking to replace. I really hope and wish that we didn't have to replace people, but that's what happens. We're just trying to make sure, as Gary said, fight the fight to make sure that we have people working. If they're being competitive with automation, what do we need automation for? Why are you spending millions and millions of dollars to automate when you already have human beings that are already doing more and above and beyond what automation can do for you? Be careful.